So you want some highly visible tattoos. Maybe you've got sleeves, maybe you've got part of your legs done, maybe even part of your torso done, and now you're sort of thinking about the next steps and looking maybe your hands, maybe your neck, or like me, maybe, you know, something partially on the face, partially on the head. I've sort of dabbled with a few different things now. But with this video, I'm going to give you a couple pieces of advice, and that's really all they are, is pieces of advice. It's, you know, nothing that you have to listen to. You could completely stop this video right now and it wouldn't matter, but this is sort of some of the lessons that I've learned along the way, especially as I've become more of what people would consider to be like a heavily tattooed person. So yeah, let's jump right into it. The first lesson that I would say that I've learned is placement is everything. I have a lot of tattoos that I love the tattoos, but I would get them in a different placement, or I would get them larger, or I'd get them smaller. And so really, when you're doing your research and, you know, you're picking your tattoo artist, also make sure you spend a lot of time looking at even just the contours of your body, like the contour lines, and looking at how a tattoo will fit and making sure that it fits properly in the area that you've chosen. And if you have a good tattoo artist, they're going to coach you with that anyways. If you show up and, you know, you want a nice piece of art, but the placement you've chosen is terrible, they're going to let you know. They're going to coach you through that. So really do your research, make sure you get a good artist, and make sure you're finding somebody that's going to fit with your style as well. My next piece of advice is a fairly obvious one, but that's do your research. Pick good artists, especially when you're getting to the point where you're doing like your hands or your neck or your head. Hands specifically because they're so tricky to tattoo. They can blow out really easily. They can fall out really easily simply because you use your hands so much throughout the day. They're constantly in contact with things. So, you know, get somebody who's done a lot of hands. Don't just go down to your nearest shop and, you know, grab an apprentice who's never done hands before and give them a shot. Like, make sure you're picking somebody who's experienced in doing hands and who's done quite a few of them before, and you'll be happier with the product, even though it's probably going to cost you a lot more, but you'll be happy with the product. So do your research when you're picking artists. Do your research when you're picking styles. Different styles of tattooing age a lot smoother and a lot nicer than other styles. People will argue that point all day, but it's simply a fact. Bigger, bolder lines, you know, more simple concepts, more simple designs age better. They just do. I can make a video on that if you want, but even just in my own tattoo experience, and speaking with artists constantly, like I have been to probably 15-20 different artists in my tattoo journey, and they all sort of say the same thing along those lines. So yeah, definitely do your research and make sure that the style that you've picked is something that's going to last and something that you're going to be pleased with down the road. The next piece of advice is be ready for people to treat you differently. This could be friends and family. This could be people in the workplace. And I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way. Like, people aren't all of a sudden going to start treating you poorly or anything like that. But people will treat you differently when you're heavily tattooed. You'll be out in public. People will just come up to you. I've had multiple times where people just come up to me and touch my hands, or come up to me and, you know, try to touch my head and ask me if the head hurt. And like, of course the head hurt. You know, of course the hands hurt. You'll get questions like that all the time. Part of it's very fun. You meet a lot of new people. You start a lot of really cool conversations, and I've actually made tons of my really close friends through being visibly tattooed, because it's, you know, a conversation starter. But some days when you're feeling really off and you're not wanting to, you know, talk to somebody new, it's still going to be something that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to talk to people about your tattoos. You know, there's the job piece to consider if you're young and just starting out in your career. You know, even I would highly suggest, you know, become established in what you want to do before you get, you know, hyper visible tattoos, hands, neck, head, that kind of thing. Keep it to something that you can sort of conceal, not out of like shame or not out of like, you know, hiding the truth from people, but just in the concept that there are still some people who will think differently about you due to your tattoos, and, you know, will stigmatize you based on what you choose to put on your skin. So just be prepared for that. Be prepared for your life to change in many ways for the better, and in many ways for you know, a little bit more challenging. And if you're somebody who has decided that they are going to go the full bodysuit route, or even somebody who's just, you know, decided they want to be heavily tattooed, my biggest piece of advice is just be patient. Don't rush through. Don't you know, don't just go out and get blasted as much as you possibly can right off the bat. Like, have some fun with it. Be strategic. Plan yourself really well. Plan out your bodysuit, plan out your visible tattoos, and really enjoy the process. I look back at, you know, photos of myself from years ago, and it's really cool to see the different phases of my life unfold, and I can remember exactly, you know, oh yeah, I remember before I had my neck tattoos, I remember before I had my head tattoos, my hand tattoos, and sort of remembering the different chapters of your life and different experiences that you were having when you were getting those tattoos. So, you know, really enjoy yourself, be patient. It's a long process, but it's something that's definitely worth it. I would highly suggest to anybody thinking about getting heavily tattooed, you know, just do it. Life is short. You're not guaranteed tomorrow. So if it's something that you want to pursue, just pursue it. Go for it. And, you know, take the rest of my pieces of advice if you want. If not, totally cool. But figure out what works for you and just go with it. So until next time, enjoy the tattooing.